What is up, everybody? Thank you for being so patient. We are finally starting Ginger Runner Live episode number 8 tonight from a different location because I'm on the road. Just finished the race this weekend. We are being joined tonight by two very important people. Mr. Billy Yang down here in the corner at LA Runner. He will be joining us as well as Maya Longlegs, my fiance, Kimberley Teshima. And we're going to be talking about the Gorge 50k and 100k, the races that we ran this weekend. Welcome to Ginger Runner Live episode 8. Ginger Runner. What's up, man? How are you, Billy Yang?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing, buddy?
Good, good. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being patient. So the reason we're starting about 2 hours late tonight is primarily because I was on the road driving from Troutdale, Oregon to Hood River, Oregon, back to Portland, Oregon, then to Seattle, and trying to do a whole bunch of stuff in between with Kim. We were shooting some more video. We visited the Pocket Fuel headquarters. We stopped by Portland to pick up donuts. The most important things in a typical day. So we had to do those before we drove all the way up here to Seattle. But we're here, and where we are, hold on, I just got to press pause here on the video so it doesn't take up more bandwidth. But I need to see the chat room. We have a lot of people already watching, which is awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in. I know we're a little bit late, and a lot of people probably laying in bed watching. We are coming to you from the Confectional, which is my good friend Destiny's son and Justin's son and Paul Verano and Troy. They have this amazing business where they make cheesecakes, the most amazing cheesecakes on the planet, little individual-sized cheesecakes, and they can ship them around the country. I believe they can ship them into Canada as well. Can they not? I guess they can. Not yet. And that's the shipping laws. But if you live somewhere in the United States and you want some delicious cheesecakes delivered to your door, check out the Confectional. They are amazing. Let me pull up their info.
It smells amazing in here.
We're literally in a cookie cake cheesecake factory right now, so it feels awesome. Mr. Billy Yang and myself ran this weekend. We ran the Gorge 50k, which is Rain Shadow Running's race, probably one of their most epic races, and one of the most epic races in the country, I would say. You run by, how many waterfalls, Billy, do you think we ran by over the course of that race?
God, probably. I mean, they all kind of came in the latter part for the 50kers, but I want to say at least half dozen, right? Maybe give or take a couple. Yeah.
I'm thinking like a half dozen. Some obviously much larger than others.
Oh, yeah.
Numerous creek crossings. I would say anywhere between 8 and 10 creek crossings, and some of those creeks were semi-waterfalls as well. I have to say it was probably one of the most beautiful races I've run. Squamish is up there, and definitely the Gorge 50k.
For sure.
Far more technical than I expected. I knew just having run Northwest Trails a lot, especially up by where Kim lives, which is in Vancouver. I just expected technical, but it was a lot more rocky than I thought it was going to be.
Hey, Ethan, not to jump off track right at the beginning, but they're saying that they can hear me but can't see me. Not that that's too important, but...
They can hear you but cannot see you.
Right.
Oh. Not sure what that is. That's definitely a Google Hangout thing. I'm seeing Billy. Here I am clicking on Billy, and I can hear Billy just fine.
Mm-hmm. And he looks very handsome.
Billy, you look very handsome.
Oh,
your black, deep V. Your skin looks amazing.
Yeah. Back in LA, baby.
We saw when you talk, but no little corner square. Oh, we see you when you talk, but no little corner square. I think why that is, guys, is because when it's just two people, when it's just Billy and myself, I need to cut over to Billy, where I think if we have more than just one other person, you'll see the little squares in the corner. So when Billy talks, we should see him, and when he doesn't talk, we shouldn't see him, I think. Let me know in the chat room. Billy, keep an eye on that.
Okay.
So basically how this whole weekend went down, I knew leading up to it that this was going to be a bucket list race. Very, very excited to have been a part of it because it's one of those races that sells out in an hour.
Oh, fast.
Billy, you got in. Did you get in? was like an hour or a half hour or something?
You know, I don't remember that far back, but yeah, it went fast. It went fast, but that seems to be the name of the game these days, especially for races. Beautiful and as a bucket list worthy as this race was.
Yeah. It's one of those races that when you hear about it and you see pictures and you'll see video, even in this episode from the race, I edited together some of the footage I shot this weekend. I shot so much footage. Kim shot some footage.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I'm creating 3 videos for this race. Even Joe Chick, our good friend Joseph Chick, who I think is in the chat room.
Yeah, you just chimed in.
Awesome. I have to give Joe Chick a shout out because he was super helpful crewing me and crewing Billy and crewing the whole gang this weekend, just kind of being there and making sure everything was organized, and crewing with Kim, following us from aid station to aid station. But it's one of those races when you see pictures and you see video from it that you're like, oh my God, this exists. I have to go do this. It was months ago when we registered for it, but we had to sign up. It was awesome.
I myself didn't run, but I can still remember photos from people that ran it last year.
Yeah.
And I just still remember looking at those photos thinking, gotta go.
So it was a bucket list race for me. In the chat room, for those of you guys who are watching, what is a bucket list race for you? It doesn't have to be an ultra marathon. It doesn't have to be a trail race. It could be the Rome Marathon. I know that that's on a lot of people's list, or the Athens Marathon.
Yeah.
Even if it's a 10K or something like that, let me know in the chat. Let us know, because we're always looking for bucket list races. This was one of them, and we can check it off.
And you and Kimberly have one that's pretty high up there with everyone, I think, on most people's list, which is the Big Sur Marathon. That's coming up
Yes.
in late April. So,
are you coming up, Billy?
I am not.
Are you
I'm in Arizona for hours upon hours.
Zane Gray. That's right.
That same weekend.
Yeah.
Billy's busy though.
Billy is going to be busy.
I'm jealous. I'm
weekend.
extremely jealous.
So, yeah, Big Sur Marathon is one of those bucket list races, too. Kim and I ran it a couple years ago, and we're like, oh, my God, we've got to come back.
It was my very first marathon, and we are going back this year.
Yeah, we'll go back in a couple of weeks, actually, at the end of April, with more friends from Southern California. Billy, you got to join us next time. But Billy will be going to Zane Gray, which I think will give Gorge a run for its money as far as technical is concerned.
So they swear me off ultras altogether. So hey, by the way, I would be remiss if we did not mention the winner of the 100K is also.
I was going to get to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to get to that because we have some amazing stories from this weekend.
Awesome.
Not just Billy's story, my story, our good friend Dave's story, our good friend Guillaume's story, Dom's, Katie's, like the Southern California crew represented this weekend, and it was awesome to witness.
Yeah.
The Oregon trails are no joke. The Northwest trails are no joke. I grew up here, so I'm kind of familiar with them, but I hadn't run. I'd only hiked them as a kid. The only real trails up here that I've run are up in Vancouver. So it was awesome to kind of like share that experience with other people, even getting my own ass kicked the whole time. But just knowing that the Southern California crew rapped so hard this weekend was rad. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Billy, overall, your experience with the Gorge 50K. Can you sum it up? Can you kind of take us through your day on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, it was all set up as a training run by my new coach, Ian Torrance, who I'm giving a shout out to, who also reps Chris Fargo, of course. Yeah. I was under instructions to kind of take the first half easy, and then the second half, push it and kind of race it a little bit more. I did the best I could. It's hard, man, especially when it starts off on a single track and you're running with people directly in front of you and directly behind you. It's hard not to get caught up and swept up and all that. But yeah, I mean, I really just focused on really immersing myself in the moment per our last show. Mm-hmm. Because I really wanted to take in the scenery, the terrain actually lent itself to that because you had no choice but to focus a lot of the time. So, I mean, it turned out to be a great experience. I didn't have the best race, but I consider it a successful weekend when I know my friends like you, Guillaume, Katie, Dom. I mean, all these people that crushed and had a phenomenal race. Like, that's a successful weekend for me. So yeah, it was a great time. I'm sure we'll get into more of the scenery, and hopefully, I know you got some good stuff, so I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I was just kind of going through the chat room as you were talking.
Yeah.
I saw that Guillaume is actually here in the chat room. So while, I'm assuming Guillaume's probably pretty tired. One, because he won the Gorge 100k, which is amazing. So we gotta give him applause for that. Unbelievable. His performance was, you couldn't have asked for a better day. He just nailed it. But also because he's French, so he might sleep early. I don't know if the French sleep early. But he's probably really tired. So Guillaume, while you're here and while you're in the chat room, we got to give you some love, because not only are you the kind of racer that will go to other people's races and cheer them on and spectate and be the loudest person at the aid stations, just giving love to people, whether you know them or not. It was really awesome to see you pull out just one of the best performances of the weekend. Just nailed it. Every time we saw him at an aid station, he was just like, "What's up, guys? What's all? Yeah, this is so good. I am having so much fun." The best. I have clips of Guillaume running through all the aid stations, and I can't wait to just edit together. So I'm editing 3 videos. One is a behind the scenes, kind of like our adventure. Like Billy, Dave, Guillaume, Dom, Katie, myself, kind of everyone behind the scenes, like between the races and having fun. I'm editing my own 50k race, where I'm shooting it myself while I'm running, and then we're also editing I say we, Billy and I will be sitting on each other's laps and editing this.
I won't be in the room.
Kim will be watching with her own video camera. That's a 4th video. Editing together a really nice, I shot it with my DSLR, and I was really excited about it, a nice polished 100k race video recap that follows some of the leaders of that race and some of the scenery, and really kind of takes you on a little journey. So I'm excited. So you'll see 3 different videos, which I'm stoked about. It's the first time I've done something like that for a race. I might as well just show, I kind of took some footage while we were driving back from Portland. I was like, I got to edit something. I got to do something for Ginger Runner Live. So I took some footage that I was able to collect, kind of Billy and my experience on Saturday, running through aid stations and stuff like that. We can talk during, we can pause during a Billy, or we can talk after. It's totally cool. But it's just some footage shoved together. There's no music. It's like really roughly edited. So here is a little video from Saturday's Gorge 50k race.
Stoked.
Oh,
What's up,
Daily,
dude? Hey.
Billy Yang. So we are at the Bridgeport Brewery Pub in Portland, Oregon. We've got our SoCal peeps here. We got LA runner Billy Yang. You recognize him. And Mr. Dave Daly. Dave Daly, you're running your first 100K on Sunday.
I am.
How do you feel?
Excited, nervous,
Anxious?
anxious.
Are you going to adjust your race plan in any way? Are you doing anything different than your regular training, or?
Nope, stick to the same nutrition and just try to run a smart race.
You excited?
Excited, very excited.
Nice. Good morning. It is race morning, 6:40 in the AM, heading to the start line for the Gorge 50K. It's cold. This one will be following me all day.
Good morning.
Kevin. Know your number?
From Sherman Oaks, California, 6'7" and 170. He is the most feared ginger in the planet, the Ginger Runner.
I love Keon.
Woo!
Ginger! You too, man. Hey, good. Water and that guy. Yep. And then we'll fill this with water and powder. Right here. Cool. Awesome. Yeah. We'll get him, buddy. Yeah.
Your friend is at the aid station.
Hey! What's up, buddy? How are you, man? Go get him, Ginger. Woo, woo. Yeah. Yep. All right. See you. Thanks, buddy. Yep.
Billy!
He was
Nice work, dude.
Holy crap, that's beautiful. Not so bad. Oh, I love it. I love it until I hate it. Unbelievable, man. Thank you so much. What a race. Beer time. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Nice, dude.
So yeah, that was just like a really, like, there's so much footage that I didn't want to put in there because it's really beautiful, and I wanted to save it for the actual video. That's just a teaser of what kind of course we're dealing with. Big thanks to, again, Kimberly and Joe Chick for filming some of the aid station stuff. They got Billy, we got you in some of those, so you're going in the final edit. We got Dave Daly, who you saw at the beginning of the video running his first 100K, first one. So we got to give him a shout out for that, and he did so incredibly well.
Mm-hmm.
7th place, Billy? Was it 7th place overall?
7th overall, yeah.
Unbelievable. Right around 12 hours, was it sub 12?
He just snuck in under 12 hours. I believe it was like 11:59 and like 13 seconds.
So awesome.
Yeah.
To do that on your first 100K is incredible, and on that course, which was tough. And Guillaume, if you're still in the chat room, can attest to this. But the first 3 hours of that race were run in pitch black, and the first stretch of that race is brutal. You run right up Multnomah Falls or Wakona Falls or Wakena Falls up to the top of Multnomah Falls and then back down by Multnomah. And if you know or are familiar with those trails, they're essentially straight up. You climb 15 or 1,600 feet in about 2 or 3 miles of that. You turn right around at the top and then come down the other side of it, and then the trails continue for another 40 miles or something like that. It's incredible. Incredible that you run in the pitch blackness, and then you don't even know what you're running until you come back later that day and go, oh, I ran this where there's cliffs and I only had a headlamp. It's insane. So big up to those guys. Billy, how did your in the chat room, people are talking about some of their bucket list races.
Yeah.
We had Spartathlon, which is a huge race. San Francisco Marathon, which we're both running this year as well.
I'll be there.
So hopefully we'll see you if that is if you're running that normal life. David Cubero says triathlon, just any try. That's also on my bucket list. I would love to do that. I'm a horrible swimmer. Boston Marathon, Badwater, UTMB, Ironman, Zugspitz Ultra Trail, sounds legitimate. Kona Ironman, Hard Rock. Yeah, Kona is definitely like the triathlon if you can qualify. Canadian Death Race. Let's see, yeah, Out and Back. Oh man, I'm gonna mispronounce this. Hale Akala, 24 mile with an average elevation of 9,000 feet. Average elevation in 24 miles. Sounds brutal. I'm guessing that's in Hawaii. Baton Rouge as well. North Face Endurance, Washington, D.C. 50K. Yeah, North Face some good races. A lot of really great ones in here. R2R, Rim to Rim to Rim. That's on our list, Billy. We've talked about that.
Oh, yeah.
So, Billy, as far as prep for this race, was there anything different that you did prepping for this race? Did you go into it with any sort of mindset? Were you racing it? Were you going for a specific time? What kind of expectations did you have?
And before I go into it, I want to address the echoing. I'm sorry, guys, about that. We'll try to fix that as we go on. But I mean, like I said, I hate it when people kind of cop out and say it was, it's a training run and I didn't take it seriously. No, I mean, the point was to feel better, like to really race it in the second half and feel good at that point. And I just didn't. I mean, I felt great through like 25 miles. I had my nutrition was dialed in. I was using primarily Tailwind, and then I had maybe like one gel. But I mean, it was working great. I never really dipped energy-wise. It was just like a steady flow of calories. It didn't bonk. But my biggest issue, and it's an issue I've been having for years of running, is cramping. Sometime after mile 25, my right hamstring started seizing up, and then from there on, it was just like, it was a nightmare. And I think the finish line showed a little bit of that. Just seeing the disparity now between my finish and your finish. I mean, you look like you just kind of went out for like a 5-mile jog, whereas I'm just like, thank God this fucking nightmare is over. But no, I mean, by nightmare, I just mean how I was feeling. Obviously, not the race. So, with that said, like, I was hailing. For like the last 5 or 6 miles. It was miserably cold. We were wet. I was like kind of hyperthermic at the finish line, and I just wanted to get the hell out of there. So I was like the exception. Everyone else had a great race, and I could not be prouder of, especially the SoCal crew that definitely represented, including you.
Yeah. So kind of to break down the weekend, we had Billy and myself were running the 50K on Saturday. Guillaume, and Dom. Yeah, Dom ran the 50K on Saturday as well. I think he was. I can't speak for Dom, but I know that he's coming off of 6 sequential 100+ mile weeks. This was his 7th. So to top off his 7th, he ran a 50K, and then the next day ran 27 more miles, pacing and just kind of running the course on the same trails while Katie and Guillaume were running. He was just kind of running along and enjoying some more trails as almost a cool-down recovery run. So, that's always good. But he was running the 50K. Billy and myself were also running the 50K. I went into this, I wasn't using this as a training run for anything in particular. I know, Billy, you talked about Zane Grey. I think this probably was the best training run you could have done for Zane Grey because it is technical and it does throw you for a loop. I know that Zane Grey has altitude and heat, so that's a whole other ballgame. I can't wait to find out how you start training for that in the next couple of weeks, and we can even document that and talk about that when you come back, because that's supposed to be one of the hardest 50 milers in the country, in the world.
50 milers, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I went into this race as like, let's just this could be one of two things. I could either go for a PR and really go for it, or I can but I can run and just enjoy this course. So on last week's Ginger Runner Live, you heard me say I'm going for a PR. I'm going to actually go for it. As soon as I said that, I was like, no, you're not. This is the most beautiful race you could potentially run this year, if not in the next couple. Why would you say that? Why don't you just enjoy it? So I actually really went into this race going, just enjoy it. Don't even think about anything. Don't think about a PR. Just enjoy the scenery, film, do as much as you can, because it's just gorgeous. So when I started the race, I had no intention of PRing. I did end up PRing at the end of the day. I went 5:52:54.
Yeah, buddy.
Woo! My 50K PR, and by no means did I expect it. I had no clue along the way. I never looked at how long I was taking at all once. I was looking at my heart rate, and I was looking at everything around me, and waterfalls. And stopping and film. And that's the thing, is you see it in that video, I stop and film at every waterfall. I actually go there and kind of hold the GoPro, and I was kind of setting up shots. And so my PR was probably maybe a couple minutes more, but I just was like enjoying it. And so I don't know if that says more about how maybe I should approach races, is rather than like, I got to go for this and I got to kick my own ass and do that, and maybe just enjoying the journey. We talked about it last week and running happy, and I think Saturday was a perfect example of running happy. So I'm really, really happy with the result that I got, and my crew was awesome. Every aid station, just running into these guys is like, it does nothing but lift your spirits. So yeah, had a great race, and I cannot wait to share it with you guys. I cannot wait to share the finished videos.
I really love that you had this experience. I really do, because especially coming off how down you were for a couple of days last week. I think this is perfect. Hopefully you just use this as a stepping stone and just keep kicking butt. And like I said, you look like you just went out for a stroll, and you were like, "Yeah, I'm done." I also made a video while I was out there running and racing and running a PR. So that's fantastic. I'm stoked for you, dude.
Yeah, man, I'm definitely stoked for you too. Billy finished in like 5:32, an incredible time on that course. And Dom finished third. Dom ended up coming in third, which is incredible. Absolutely nailed it. He's like, oh, it was a 20-mile warm-up and then a 6-mile let's race. And I think I don't know how many people he passed in the last 6 miles, but it was an incredible number. Just however many people he passed, he managed to move up into third place. The next day, so Sunday was the 100K. Our good buddy Dave Daly, his first 100K. Billy, you've done a lot of training with Dave.
Yeah.
Maybe you can explain Dave's behavior and or mental state leading up to Sunday's race.
God, Dave. I love Dave. Dave's my buddy. Dave's my pal. Dave is, for the large part, my training partner, and I love his enthusiasm because he's still relatively new to, especially ultra running. The dude is just naturally gifted. He has legs like a gazelle. He has a really smooth running stride, and when I used to kick his butt on climbs, running up mountains, like he far surpassed me. At this current day, and he was nervous. We shared a room, we traveled together, and I basically crewed him the entire day. But he had his shit dialed in. He knew at that point what worked for him. He used Tailwind too, primarily, and supplemented by a few calories here and there. And he just like, you could see the confidence from aid station to aid station to aid station. I mean, the guy just got into, he had his game face on, and he just started racing it. And, wanted to get in and out, and was very, like, nothing really got him down. He was just on point. And, I was just beaming with pride every time he, left the aid station. I was like, that's my man. He is going to go after it, and he freaking killed it. His first 100K, sub 12 on that course, that is freaking stout. And the dude did awesome. I couldn't be prouder.
He had, talking to him after the race and talking to him at all the aid stations, seemed like he had no issues. So he was using, I think we should talk specifically about what we used and what we did for each of us, maybe what contributed to our success. Actually, someone said that. Russell Anderson in the chat room says, missed Ethan talking about his PR. Did he say what he thought contributed most to his success? So I think this would actually apply to all of us, because everyone succeeded this weekend, which was rad. But every time Dave would come into an aid station, he would be in, he knew exactly what he needed, he'd be out, and he looked great every single aid station.
He was very efficient through the aid
Super
station.
efficient. And Billy, as his crew, had everything dialed in, which was great. As soon as he rolled in, he basically had stuff laid out on a towel, whether it was... Dave is one of those guys that runs with really interesting things. He's got the pocket fuel, so the pocket fuel natural nut butters, which are amazing and totally work because they're a natural food element, but they're really ground down, nice fine texture. But then Dave also has dried cherries, which he just discovered, so he just started using those, and then seaweed. So he rocks the seaweed paper that you can get at Trader Joe's and just stacks them into a Ziploc, takes all the air out, and just will lay them down. And he had them in his backpack, and he had them laid out. Billy, you had them laid out on the towel.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why he uses that?
I think there's there's no calories in it really, but it's really for the sodium, and just a way to kind of counter the sweetness that you get running an ultra. I think that you get a little bit of savory, a little bit of salty to kind of offset that. That's what I think is his thinking, but of course you'd have to ask him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was talking about the savory aspect of it and having just that different texture and taste and flavor in his mouth.
Yeah.
I think it's smart. Yeah.
I tried some of his cherries and I thought it was genius.
It's delicious. Just some. If you're just taking goos, especially on an ultra marathon, if you're just taking goos and gels, maybe that works with your stomach, and maybe that's why you do it, and that's totally understandable. I think with just kind of going off of what Dave has been eating lately, I don't think he does mini goos at all. He does VI fuel, I think, and then he does pocket fuel just for the consistency. But then the seaweed is a great example of, yes, too much sweet, let's do salty and savory, and that's brilliant because they're so thin and so easy to consume and digest. I'm like, that's a great way to take in some sodium and not have to eat a whole handful of potato chips or anything like that. Billy,
that's just his diet and nature. I mean, I just want to quickly say, like, he's all about the whole kind of clean eating, clean food. He's not vegan, but he is vegetarian, and he's all about the trying to consume as little of the processed stuff as possible. So I think that kind of added to his mindset. And we have to give Miss Sally McRae the props on the dry chairs. I believe they've got that idea from her. So props where props is due. So sorry, I cut you off. What were you asking?
Actually, first of all, I saw something in the chat room talking about you cramping and possibly being or pickle juice or sodium, like Enduralex or S-caps. I know that Billy answered muscle fatigue rather than some sort of S-cap or salt deficiency. And we talked to Alicia Shea recently, who said that muscle cramping might not be sodium-based at all. Having muscle cramps during a race might not be caused by low or high salt intake. It could, in fact, be muscle fatigue or a training issue rather than something that you're doing that day that's causing muscle cramping. So I agree on that. But Billy, let's go through your gear, because I think this is definitely a question. I've already gotten a bunch of emails about it. Some were very heated this weekend. So let's talk about gear that you used for the 50K and how it all worked out.
Well, for a race like this, I knew coming into it, it would not be like the weather in terms of it being hot, potentially being dehydrated. I knew that wouldn't be an issue, and I am all about running as minimally as possible. So I went into it with a single bottle with Tailwind, like I mentioned. I had about 200 calories in there. So what I figured I would do is have that one bottle. Go into the 8 stations that were there, chuck some water, get rehydrated that way. But I mean, I had liquid in the bottle, obviously, so I'm consuming that. Supplement that here and there. Like I said, I ended up having one other gel, but by and large, it was just, Dave was kind enough to crew me. We did like a bottle swap at the 2 8 stations that he was able to access. So yeah, I kept it real simple. I had a buff, long sleeve shirt, Patagonia shorts. I wore my New Balance MT 110s, the Antons, as I like to affectionately call them. They worked out great, but I'm used to running in fairly minimal shoes, and they drained really well, which was key. Like Ethan mentioned, there were several stream crossings. But yeah, I mean, that was it.
So, you brought the jacket, thinking about rain. You didn't run with the jacket. We saw on the video that you were just running with a long sleeve race shirt, and it all seemed to work out.
Yeah, no, you know what? I did have a pair of gloves on me that I just kept on me just in case, and I did actually end up putting those on when I was shivering in the hail and the rain and the sleet for like the last 5 or 6 miles. But that was about it.
Okay.
What about you?
As far as gear that I ran in, let's start from top to bottom. I ran a Train Race Beer cap sack. I always love those. They're always great. The little zipper pocket actually comes in handy. I would put trash in there just because it keeps it off my body and it keeps it somewhere where I don't have to worry about it. Buff around the neck. I started with Patagonia Houdini jacket just to kind of keep an extra layer of protection on me. It's not waterproof. It's waterproof resistant, but it doesn't advertise to be waterproof. It's just really light. It was fine. And then my Ginger Runner Train Race Beer long sleeve tech shirt, I ended up taking the jacket off pretty early on. I got pretty warm pretty quick.
You had
Didn't even make it to the first aid station. I think it was like a mile 5 or 6. I was like, oh, fuck this. I took it off. Had the Solomon S-Lab 5 vest, which I just wear for everything. It's awesome. Really, the reason I wear that so often is because I have that GoPro. So the only way to really run with a GoPro is to have the stick and stick it in the backpack. Otherwise, I would run with 2 handhelds or just with a single handheld and fill my pockets with the food. Nutrition-wise, did about 250 calories of Tailwind per hour. I had just baggies preset, which I was able to carry in the pack as well. Otherwise, I would have used them at aid stations. Didn't need to. Pocket Fuel did their coffee and their chocolate haze, which is my favorite one of theirs. Shorts, I used the Solomon S-Lab. They're the tight shorts, those ones with like the webbing, like compression shorts, which I like a lot. I think they're really great. And Injinji socks. And then I ran in the Nike Wild Horse, which I was not expecting because I've done so much training in so many different shoes in the last month or two leading up to all these reviews that I'm dropping in the next couple of weeks. One of which will come tomorrow, and I'm very excited for tomorrow's review. I'll show you a clip from that because I'm really, really excited. But I ended up running in the Wild Horse, and I am both pleased with my choice and a little disappointed with my choice, and I'll tell you why. The Wild Horses, they blew my mind when I started running in both the Nike Wild Horse and the Terra Kiger. I honestly have not run in a Nike shoe since the Vomero 6, which was one of my first running shoes, or Vomero 4, which was one of my first running shoes, which I thought was awesome, and then I ended up hating it because it just fell apart on me. And so since then, I have been kind of like shunning Nike. But I wanted to try these trail shoes because both Chris and Sally swear by them. They love them. I was like, okay, well, if they love them, they have to be good. So I ran in them. And Billy runs in a pair of Kigers.
Yeah, on occasion. I mix it up.
Yeah, you mix it up with New Balance and Nike and all sorts of different things. So I started running in the Wild Horse and the Kigers. I just like the looks of them, so I actually kind of wanted to avoid running trails with them because I just wanted to wear them. But I ended up really tearing them up because they're good. I really like them. I'm going to do full-on in-depth reviews as I normally do very, very soon. Next week, I'll be posting the reviews for both of them. The only thing that was really my problem with them on this particular course was the lack of a rock plate. There was no rock plate in the Wild Horse, and there's basically every stretch of this trail was rocky. And there was extra cushioning, so there's extra midsole material, but there's just no rock plate to protect from those really sharp rocks. But I finished with the PR, and I can't really complain. And I don't know why I would even complain about something if I feel like I did a really good performance and crossed that finish line smiling, which was great.
Yeah, you did.
But everything worked out really, really well.
Hey, Ethan. People are still complaining about my voice being super echoey. Anything we could do on your end to possibly troubleshoot that?
Yeah, we could try. I have you coming through my laptop speakers just so we can at least hear you. Let me try just...
Okay, now Chris Ham is saying echo seems to be fixed. Thanks, Billy, which I didn't do anything.
Yeah, it could be any number of things. So Kim and I are going to try to...
All right. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have said anything, but a couple of people are kind of chimed in and said...
I think what's happening is just the audio from my computer speakers are going into the microphone from the camera. So give us 1 second and let's see if this fixes it. Billy, go ahead and talk.
All right. Billy, go ahead and talk. Billy's talking.
Yeah, we can hear you just fine, and I'm just going to get rid of the echo. So, yeah, as far as that's pretty much what I wore head to toe, and it all worked very, very well for me. My biggest advice to people is to dial in the nutrition, because I think that's the one thing that gets people off in a race. Katie DeSplinter had a great race. She stuck to all goos. It sounded like all she did was, I think they were Power Bar gels. Whatever her fuel was, it was all goo-based gel. Yeah. And that was it. Awesome. She did awesome.
She might be my new girl running crush.
Right? She's a powerhouse.
Yeah, Katie's an awesome guy. I think definitely, I mean, what may work for one person may not work for the other. So definitely, that's what your long runs are essentially there for. Some people can do gels until they're, for hours on end, through an Ironman, through a, 100-mile race. Some prefer liquid nutrition. Some like to mix it up. I mean, some like whole foods. I mean, it's just really what works for you, and that's what you need to, really focus on long runs. It's like gear and nutrition, and and I think another key element was that we were all like over prepared. We had everything just in case. I know I had a jacket laid out in case things really got gnarly. The gloves, like I said, came in handy. Dave and all his amalgamation of different nutritions and food groups that I have laid out. It just, you never know what you may need, and it's always helpful. I mean, I just had a big duffel bag filled with stuff, and I just kind of laid it out on a towel. And, you know, whatever he felt like he could stomach or wanted or take, he could just point at it and go and grab it and go, and it worked out great.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think my first ultra marathon, and even the marathons leading up to that, I did a lot of experimenting with what worked for me. And you know, I still work with goo a lot, like the actual goo brand energy stuff. I think those are great things to just keep in a pocket in case you need that boost of energy and pull it out. And I have on multiple occasions. I carried a bunch with me on Saturday. I just was pretty even keeled the whole time, so I didn't peak or valley or anything. But experimenting with everything. My first ultra, I had a backpack full. Basically, I had enough nutrition in that backpack to feed me for the entire race from every brand. I had enough goos to feed me. I had enough like Justin's and Pocket Fuel and like peanut butter-based items to feed me. I had enough Cliff Bars to feed me.
I think you took a rolling suitcase that day.
I think I think I took an entire fucking suitcase. I had so much nutrition on me and used so little of it, but I had that in the back of my mind. I'm like, just in case I needed something on any particular moment, I had it. And so I definitely recommend that for people who haven't maybe dialed that in yet. Just experiment with everything. And who knows, what might work for you in 1 month might not work for you the next month. And that's kind of the problem of what we do.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I mean, it can vary from day to day. I mean, what may have been working for you previously may all of a sudden you just may like can't stomach, or the thought of it kind of makes you nauseous, and so it's definitely helpful to have backups. And I definitely have, you know, the gels ready just in case, and you know, Coke is always a good go-to if you have stations, and it's just quick. You know, easily digestible liquid calories. So
I wish more road races, more big brand road races would have like Lido at the ice stations, Lido in the white city. I would hope that they would think about that and actually put Coke or pop later, like at mile 20 of a marathon. If they had a table with Coke,
I'd be into it.
People would be into it, and you know what? I think people would not bunk. I think you wouldn't get those people that would be like, oh my God, I bonked at mile 20. Drink a Coke. You know what? I bet that'll carry those last 6 miles. It's amazing what some Coke can do.
Yeah.
We're talking about cocaine. Yeah. Do you guys have any nutrition stuff at home? Those of you who are watching, is there any particular nutrition that you use that you love, that you swear by? Because we're all kind of experimenting.
I just threw that out there. I asked if there was any, you know, unusual nutrition that really seems to work for you guys. Newt Finstad threw out dates. I know dates. Who is it? The fruitarian Michael Arnstein uses dates. I think they're nature.
Fruitarian?
Yeah, the fruitarian. Dates I see again from Jeff Allen. Gatorade or Powerade instead of water. Water seems to bog me down. Yeah, and Peter Davidson, Coke. I think most Ironman and half Ironman events have Coke available. So Peter utilizes Coke. Will Porter said those tiny to-go apple sauce pouches that you just squeeze. You
kind of have something like that, Billy. You run with those sometimes. You can get them at REI, the little pouches of fresh fruit type.
Like fruit puree.
Yeah. Power Bar makes a great fruit puree type thing. I mean, it's not as calorie dense, but there is about 80 calories in it. The only thing is they're a little bit cumbersome to carry. So they're about maybe about the size of a palm, but they are delicious. They are very easily digestible, not syrupy at all. Let's see what else folks are saying.
People are talking about diluting gels down, and that's actually a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
It's something that I've done a lot of experimenting with the Solomon handheld flasks that you can get the glove, and it can stick a flask in there. You can shove 1 or 2 gels in there, mix it with a little bit of water, and you have a far diluted calorie-based system. So you're not just chugging like really thick gel-type substance. You're just drinking water that's flavored lightly with gel, and you can get in 150, 200 calories pretty easily. Just refill it every once in a while.
And that's kind of something that I've been playing with more. I have a hard time eating or making myself eat stuff when I'm running, so I'm toying with all different liquid nutrition and dilutants right now.
Chris Ham says, Sriracha.
No, you're fucking with us, Chris. Do you see Raul's comment? He did fried rice at Leona Divide last year. I think that has to take the cake.
I did fried rice at Leona Divide last year. We were all at Leona Divide, and that was a hot fucking race. So if you did like, did someone have a walk at an aid station, and was someone just frying up fried rice and throwing in an egg and vegetables?
Yeah, one of those
I would have puked.
to-go cartons. That's right.
Some chopsticks and stuff.
Yeah,
That would
exactly.
have been the worst. Good job, Raul, I guess.
Hey, whatever works for you.
Whatever works for you. And if it's fried rice, what the fuck?
You know, it's. I mean, if you ever do like an international race, I bet you get to see some. I remember there are a couple of European race videos that I watch, featuring Killian and those guys. And those guys, the spread out there is completely different. Well, not completely different, but they have things like, I saw Killian at one aid station eating on a piece of bread, like a slice of cheese. Maybe there was some salami on it. I mean, they have.
Wow.
They're very cheese. They love their cheese over there in Europe. I mean, for somebody who's lactose intolerant like me, that would be an absolute nightmare. But, I guess cheese quesadillas. I've seen cheese quesadillas at some ultra events, so maybe it's not so far off. But yeah, I mean, when I ran Comrades, they didn't really have nutrition per se, but they had like these little satchels, these plastic satchels. And they had their version of like a Powerade or Gatorade that you had to kind of rip off and down or pour into your bottle. So it just, you get you run the gamut depending on which country you're in. And I'm sure more like Asian-centric countries have things like rice. Maybe not fried rice, but rice balls, I would imagine, or something to that.
I've seen rice balls.
Yeah.
I've seen rice balls and like mac and cheese balls and stuff. Raul then goes on to say, I actually had McNuggets too, but that didn't work out so well. It dried out my mouth.
Those never work out so well.
Yeah,
Raul just wanted an excuse to eat the crap.
Yeah, just like, can someone get me McNuggets? I'm at mile 40. I need McNuggets. Anybody? At Cuyamaca 100K last year, there was an aid station that was doing bacon. You could smell the bacon from about a mile away.
Yeah.
Running into that, I'm a vegetarian, but I tell you, I have never wanted bacon that badly, and I didn't do it. But I can't deny that they asked me 4, 5, 6 times before I left that aid station. You sure you don't want bacon? It's really good. It's fresh bacon. And then the next aid station has quesadillas. And then the station after, and they had quesadillas in Ziploc baggies. So they just gave you a Ziploc with like a fresh hot quesadilla. And I forgot I had it in my pack. So when I finished, it was like the next day when I emptied my pack, I just had this solid frozen cheese quesadilla mass in my backpack. And I wish I had eaten it.
So you ate it.
And so I ate it. Sorry. And they also were doing veggie broth, and that was actually very helpful later in a race. Super
Broth
cold.
is good.
Yeah, like ramen, veggie broth, chicken noodle soup, stuff like that. To just give you hot liquid
miso
sodium.
soup would be a good idea.
Miso is awesome. Just liquid sodium, and it's warm. So with those night runs and those morning runs, it's just awesome. Beer along the course, says James. Yeah, for the OTH TC 50K. Beer.
Joe had beer along the course.
Yeah, I was drinking it. So I was filming a lot of the 100K, and I had a beer at whatever aid station that was. I think it was aid station 4 or 3, but it was also 5.
So it was on his way back.
So it was on his way back, and Joe Chick stopped. He's like, "Is that a beer?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Here." He just grabs it and starts chugging it. I'm like, "Whatever you want, bro. You're halfway through your 100K. If that's gonna work, go for it." So if we have any more questions in the chat room, guys, let us know. Billy and I here with Kimberly. If you have any questions for her, feel free to ask in the chat room. We'll do our best to answer them. I want to talk about the review that I'm posting this week. And Billy, also, I think we're going to do runner's rant tonight. So I don't know if you have a runner's rant.
Okay. I'll get one queued up.
Okay, yeah, get one queued up. But I have a review dropping tomorrow. I'm going to drop it early tomorrow morning. I'm going to need your guys' help. Those of you who are watching live, I'm going to need your help sharing this particular review. And those of you who are watching get a very special sneak peek at this week's review. It's for a product that some of you might have heard of. I think a lot of you actually have maybe seen, at least in a store or had experience with, or at least have heard of. So here is a sneak peek of some footage that I shot for tomorrow's review. Oh yeah, you better believe it. It's the Cat Pack Meowdration, no, Ticker Dripper, Cat Pack Ticker Dripper Meowdration.
Careful.
10 liter backpack.
The 10 liter.
The 10 liter. Yeah, it's the one. It's the one size larger than their 9.5 liter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So that review is dropping tomorrow, the 1st of April. So I encourage you guys to go check it out and share it. Sharing is caring. Ethan, what do you think about the new Newtons? Chris Hem asks. I have ran in them a couple of times, and I actually like them a lot.
I also have.
Kim has them too.
Yeah. They feel good.
Yeah, they feel good. I mean, I feel like they kind of got back to what Newtons was all about. I had a real poor experience in the Boco ads, but thank goodness they came out with the new 5-lug system, which I actually like. But I'll get into a detailed review when I post that later. Joe Chick, much love for that, by the way. Joe Chick is in the chat room, and he loves him some beer. He also says broth saved him in his first 100-miler. And Joe Chick actually had, Joe, I'm going to kind of relay your story. Feel free to explain more detail here in the chat room. But Joe Chick ran his first 100-miler, I believe it was the Pine to Palm, which is Hal Kerner's race out in Ashland, Oregon. And during that race, I'm guessing, I think it was between mile 45 and 55, Joe ran into some serious vomiting issues. Could not keep anything down, couldn't keep any calories in. It might even been longer than that. I don't know. But the way he describes it is it's just a horror story because I hate throwing up. I hate it. But broth seems like it brought him back from the dead and was allowed him to completely finish a 100-mile race, even though he had spent hours and hours and miles not keeping anything down. So that's testament to that. Let's see, on the TRN podcast, they had a guy that only carried cheeseburgers for his nutrition. What?
That sounds awful.
That does sound awful and awesome. I gotta find out who that guy is. I gotta talk to Trail Runner Nation. Trail Runner Nation are awesome. They're good friends of Ginger Runner Live.
Yeah, I would not. That seems very Dean Karnassus-esque. I would not recommend doing that whatsoever. That's not a lot of good stuff in the cheeseburger.
Mm-mm.
I wouldn't recommend it. Keith Whipple says April Fools. Oh no, today is still March 31st. Tomorrow is April Fools. You're getting a full review, my friend. You're getting the whole thing. Does the Cat Pack come with matching shoes? No, but it comes with the matching hat, which you'll find out how that comes into play during tomorrow's review. And Joseph says that's about right. My description is about right. Awesome. It's a badass story, Joe. You should be proud. That's a badge of honor. All right. I think it's time to move on into the runner's rant. Billy, if you've got one, I've got one. Kimberly, if you've got one, think about it. Think about it, because it's time. Runner's rant. Runner's rant is where we get to talk about things that drive us a little bit nuts, get them out in the open, let us deal with them, and then forget about them, so we don't have to deal with them ever again. It's a way for us to kind of sit back in our psychologist chair and admit things that bug us, I guess. I'll start us off. And this is, it reminded me a little bit about it on this weekend's run, this weekend's race, and that is, I don't really know how to phrase it. I'll describe it. I don't know what to call it. In this particular race, and I guess it's only kind of is geared towards trail running. In this particular race, the trail starts off pretty early, getting very narrow. So there's kind of a mass start running down a road, and then it gets to single track very quickly. And when you get into single track, you have trouble passing, right? You get kind of locked into wherever you are. So you have to make sure that you place well enough in the wide section so you're actually staying in your pace zone when you get onto the single track, because otherwise you're going to be trying to leapfrog and it gets real tough. So what ended up happening was, as I started the race, I kind of like, I'm going to not go super fast out of the gate because I don't want to get locked up with the speedies, and because I know that there's a big hill right out of the front. So I'm going to kind of take my time up the hill. I felt really good going up the hill, so I actually found a nice spot where I was able to run. So I ran the entire first hill, which surprised me, but it wasn't a super steep incline. I guess it would be incline. It wasn't super steep. Runnable, not super technical at the very beginning. So I kind of found a nice rhythm, was getting warmed up, and it was really good. Behind me was a woman that was, Kim, why don't you demonstrate? Kim was not there, but I described it to her. Like literally, she was inside me. For a better description, for lack of a better description. She was so deep inside me that I could feel her pulse, and she was just right there. I'm like, okay, great. She wants to pass me. I get it. You know what? I'm cool with that. So I turn around. Whenever you'd like to pass, just let me know. She goes, okay. I was like, okay. So would you like to pass? I'm fine. All right. I didn't say anything more than that, but in my mind I'm going, are you fine? Because I'm not, and you're inside me, and it's uncomfortable. So finally, after about a mile and a half of running, she goes, can I pass? I go, yeah, sure. So she passes me, and it turns into this. What? Like, she's running. I'm running inside of her now, and that's not allowed because Kim is my fiance. She literally just stepped right in front of me and just didn't move up. There was a huge gap between me and the guy or her and the guy in front of her. But she just decided to like run right in front of me like this.
Maybe she liked your smell.
No, I guarantee you, she didn't like my smell. I smell awful. So I guess my runner's rant is, don't invade personal space, or know your pace. So she thought, she was like, I'm gonna go faster. So she ended up going faster, and I caught her. I catched her. I catched her much later and passed her, and felt so good about it. Because I gave her so much distance.
Yeah.
I gave her a huge gap. So I don't know who she was. I don't know her name. I'm sure she's very sweet. But I hope that she never runs in front or behind me again. Give me some space. Billy, what is your runner's rant?
God damn.
You know, time.
I know. Really, the one the one image that I just have that's been seared into my noggin from this past weekend was a guy who this is going to be insulting if he's watching. This may be insulting if he's watching, but he is like basically a fitter, more muscular Zach Galifianakis doppelganger, essentially, and he and I were kind of leapfrogging each other at a few points, and there was one section where he was up on me a little bit, and I think he maybe thought the distance was a little bit bigger than it was, because next thing I know, when I come up on him, and he is walking up this single-track trail, his junk in his hand, and he is peeing and walking.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I don't know how much time he ended up shaving off, but dude, we are like firmly entrenched in the maybe like in the first third pack. Like there's not those seconds are not that precious, okay, buddy? Like take a few seconds, step off the trail and do your business. Like there's no need for that. I mean, it was entertaining for me, because I don't think he knew I was that close behind him, and I came up on him, and I had to kind of give him a wide berth, but kind of let him know, like, like, hey, buddy, like, there's a dude behind you. It was entertaining more than anything, but yeah, I mean, we're not like duking it out for first and second with like 200 yards to go.
You're right.
Yeah, do your business on the side of the trail. That's all I gotta say.
That happened. Oh man, what trip? That was actually Cuyamaca 100K last year.
Yeah.
I have never seen it in person. I can't tell you how many times I saw dudes pissing while they were running with their dangle out. They had no shame. Even if there were sections where people were passing either way, they were just running with their wang. And I'm like, really? You're gonna save 30 seconds, and that's important to you? I mean, I guess maybe, but how about you stop, you run, and then you run hard 30 seconds so you catch back up to whatever.
If Paul Radcliffe in a major road marathon has to pee, and she can stop for a few seconds. I don't know if you ever saw that clip. It's a great clip. Yeah, I mean, just like pops a squat real quick, pees, and then for like a couple of seconds, and then just keeps on chugging along. She can take a few seconds to pee. You know, us in the middle of the pack, we can do that too.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Kimberly, put you on the spot. You were crew this weekend, so maybe something from this weekend as a crew member.
Yeah, I mean, and it kind of piggybacks on to Billy talking about people that are maybe in the middle of the pack. So people that are not looking to place for second or third.
Okay.
At one of the aid stations this weekend, it was rainy and windy, and the volunteers were doing a great job. One guy came down, and the volunteers had all of the drop bags covered with a tarp to keep
it dry.
their good stuff dry. And the guy came down and kind of was throwing his arms around and really disappointed and angry, and just took the tarp and just ripped it off. And this was not a guy that was going for first or second.
Oh, so he's not even in. Was he in top 5?
No.
Top 10?
I don't know. I don't think so. I'd say maybe in I'd say between
50?
30 to 20.
Okay.
20 to 30. Anyways, he made a big stink that the bags were covered up, that the volunteers were trying to protect his bags, and then he was kind of hollering about his water bottles and this and that. I just felt bad for the volunteers. Just be grateful for the volunteers.
Thank your volunteers, because they are out there all day too, and they're not moving. So they're cold and wet and dealing with divas.
And all those spectators at that point were kind of oh my goodness, look at this guy.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's more of a crew spectating rant.
I agree with that one for sure. That's a crew rant.
Respect the volunteers.
Respect them. This has been Runner's Rant.
Runner's Rant.
I just love playing the graphic. I just love seeing my face explode. Going to the chat room. Ever consider changing your scoring system for products? Seems like many of them end up being 16 out of 20. No, I'm not going to change it because it's arbitrary. I started doing the 5 out of 5 system with 4 categories at the very beginning, and I honestly, I don't care about the points. I don't do fractions. I don't do any sort of decimal system, so I don't give 4.95 out of 5. It's all bullshit. I keep it simple. I don't care if all my products are 16 out of 20. I have yet to give a 20 out of 20 because there's no product that is perfect. It's not going to exist. So how about you watch the first 20 minutes of those reviews and understand that the likes and dislikes are the real core to the review and not the points. You can't go, hey, let's look at this Newton review and it's 16 out of 20, and then go look at the Solomon pack and it's also 16 out of 20. 2 totally different categories of products. They have to be rated based off of their likes and dislikes, not their points. And I get that question a lot, and so I'm not just talking to you, Normal Life. I'm talking to people across the board who have commented oh, this score is bad, and compared to that, and I was like, whoa. If you've gotten to the score, then you already heard the review. The score is just for fun. So really, that's that. What ratio do you use for your tailwind mix? I've been doing 2 scoops per water bottle, but it seems too strong for me. Billy, what do you do on that?
2 scoops.
Yeah, 2 scoops. I was gonna say I did 2 scoops too.
That's plenty.
I tried doing 2.5, almost 3, to make it an hour to an hour and a half bottle this time, and it was really sweet. I mean, it just was. I think the mix was too strong, and that was for 22 ounces of water per serving. So I think it's just too strong. But 2 scoops should be fine. What new shoes were you talking about? Ask Simply V1D. Those are the new 511 Newtons. The distance 3, the gravity 3. Spoiler alert, Cat Pack gets a perfect score. Ah, les éclairs sont partout. Very close. In the 70s, elite runners drank defizzed Coke in marathons. Yeah, they do that at Ironman a lot. They actually let the Coke sit out, and Ultras as well. But I think Ultra runners go through Coke so quickly that they don't have time to pour new cups. So every time you grab a cup of Coke, it's a freshly poured, freshly fizzy cup of delicious, sugary.
I like the fizz.
Yeah, I don't mind the fizz either. Actually, that helps me a lot with digestion and stuff. I like the belches. Can I buy the hat separately? I'm guessing you're talking about the Train Race Beer hat. There's a couple left on eBay.
Or the cat hat.
Or the cat hat.
Ooh, I think it's the cat hat.
I think it is the cat hat. There's a few left on eBay. Favorite segment? Yes, you should do some fart work. Oh, yeah, this was talking about my runner's rant with that woman. I should have farted. That's what I should have done.
You're good at it.
Should have made it nice and vocal.
Give your farts 20 out of 20.
Speaking of fart, Billy's great at it.
Thanks, buddy. That makes one thing.
I have to keep refreshing the chat room because it keeps updating pretty slowly.
Our buddy Colin is watching. Is it true?
Oh.
Most affable racer to volunteers during the 50K. What does that stem from? I think that was Dave Daly's caption for one of the pictures he took. I have a good time. I have a good time when I come through aid stations, especially a race like that, where there's only 3 that we got to run through. Like,
Yeah, actually,
fun.
3 aid stations.
Yeah, and you know, our friends are there, so yeah, it was a good time. It was good seeing them.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we wrap up tonight's show, we've just gone over an hour here. It's a segment that I haven't done for the last couple of weeks. A little segment called Runspiration. This is basically where I like to read a story provided by you guys, the viewers, to help inspire others. If you would like to send me your Runspiration story, maybe how you got into running, how running has changed your life, maybe for the better or for the worse, not sure. You can email me. Just go to the gingerrunner.com and go to the contact page and drop me an email. Let me know your Runspiration story. Today's Runspiration story comes from, where's their name? I just had it. Patrick Quillen. He submitted this one a while back. So I'll read it to you, and hopefully it shall inspire all of us. I grew up running from age 10. I ran in high school, in the Marine Corps, and after. In 1998, I married a woman I could only dream about. For the next 15 years, I didn't run a step, and my health took a turn for the worst. In 2010, I had the first of 2 colon surgeries. Add another abdominal surgery for hernia, all within 18 months. In 2012, I collapsed in the shower. The doctor found 95% blockage in my left artery. They told me I'd be on medication for the rest of my life. That was in March of 2012. By October of that same year, I ran my first half marathon. By September of 2013, I ran my first 50K. I'm off all medication, and my doctor calls me his hero. He's a runner too and is 100% supportive. In April of this year, I'll be running my first 50-miler. All things are possible. That is awesome.
Yeah, dude.
I love stuff like that. And since it is April tomorrow, I would like to wish Patrick good luck with your 50-miler. I hope that you sent me that a while ago, so I hope that the 50-miler is still in the books and it's still going to happen. Update me if it is. Drop me an email. I'd love to hear more on that. Just a great story. I'm not going to go out there and advocate that if you have health problems, don't take your medications anymore and then just start running and that's going to cure it. Definitely consult your doctor. As Patrick had done. So Patrick has obviously consulted his doctor the entire time, but it is amazing to hear stuff like that because I love running, and I think it, even if it just alters my mind in a sense, and just makes me more happy and positive.
For mental health.
It's great for mental health. Last week's episode is a great example. Last week's episode of Ginger Runner Live is all about things that make us happy and running happy. I think it's important. I think it's important, and I really like this community. I am really, really happy that we booked our ass off to get back to Seattle just so we could do this show because I mean, just seeing everyone in the chat room and Billy, having you here, taking time out of your night and stuff like that, it inspires me because I know that the community loves this stuff and love to talk about running and stay positive with each other, which I think is really important. That's it. Billy, any last thoughts before we call it a night?
I think a couple of people were wondering about Fargo. I'm assuming the later start was a little bit too late for him.
Oh yeah. So since it's not a 6 p.m. start, he's mountain. I don't know if is it called mountain time? It's 2 hours ahead.
Colorado time. They probably
Colorado
call it
time. So 8 p.m. is 10 p.m. from him. I'm doing really good math, and I think that's just too late for Fargo because I think he goes to bed at 7:30 like a grandma.
Mm-hmm.
Like a little granny. He has to put his panties on. No, Vargo actually was moving. He's been packing up a truck and getting ready to move to Flagstaff. So yeah. I imagine he's exhausted from that, and it is late for him. It is now 11:15 for him, and he's probably long gone to dreamland, dreaming about short shorts and running in shoes. Next. Really I'm exhausted too.
Yeah, I mean, oh my God. To crew at 100K, I mean, the 100K we didn't mention started at 4 a.m. So the day before we run the 50K, sleep deprived from that, and then the next day have to get up. I mean, you got up, what, 3 a.m.?
Yeah.
The morning after your 50K?
You go to bed until, what, 11 or midnight? You know, you go to bed the night of the race because you're still kind of hyped up on cold brew coffee and all these amazing things, and just like, the experience of the race. Yeah, you don't go to bed at midnight, then you wake up at 3 a.m.
And then Dave, morning today too.
Yeah, Dave and I had a 6 a.m. Flight too, so we got up early, and I know you had some stuff you had to take care of, and yeah, not ideal for recovery. You want to make sure you get those Z's to let your muscles recover for sure.
Mm-hmm. I just realized that now my comment system is catching up. Peeing in the wetsuits. You guys are talking on the triathlon and peeing in the wetsuits. I love it. That's so great. That's a great way to do it. You know what? Maybe in ultras we should just pee our pants. Why even whip out your dick? Why don't you just pee your shorts?
I'm sure people, I was thinking about it when it's raining so hard.
No one would notice.
No one would.
Do you pee your pants?
No.
All right. All right. I thought I'd ask.
And James was asking about some new trails to run in SoCal. I'm assuming you mean the kind of greater Los Angeles area and not San Diego or somewhere the like, but if you were talking LA, Eaters Fan actually made some great ones. Ray Miller, Point Magoo, El Moro, Laguna Coast Wilderness area, that's Sally's backyard, Malibu Creek, Trippet Ranch, I mean, all great suggestions. Santa Monica Mountains, San Gabriel Mountains, Laguna area, those are all stellar. Yeah, you can't go wrong.
The Roro channel asks, would you guys consider doing an episode with Kim and Sally on all things female running, covering things like best gear running while that time of the month, running while pregnant, etc. Ha 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 ha. Yes. Absolutely. I mean, bringing Sally on, bringing Kimberley on, absolutely. Ginger Runner Live, I just can't let it be all about dudes doing dude fitness. CrossFit. It needs to be about everyone in the community. Absolutely. I mean, since it's my account and I have the computer and all that stuff, I could just sit back and let them do it and just sit here and click the buttons. I have no problem doing that.
Yeah, there's a lot of great ladies in the running community that would be good to have on and talk about all those female-specific things.
Yeah, you guys just went to Weasel, right?
Oh.
Paid a little visit there.
We did.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that, Kim?
I can talk about it briefly. Some of you guys may be familiar with Weasel. It's a small women's running brand based out of Seattle. Lauren Fleshman is one of their top athletes, and now they just signed, of course, Kara, which was the big news that broke last week.
Kara Goucher. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very, very exciting. So they invited me to their HQ and took me for a run. Ed Ethan joined the ladies.
Yeah, I wasn't about to pass up the opportunity. Why not?
But if you're looking for an inspiring group of women that support each other and encourage, the mamas out there, and it's an awesome company.
Yeah.
Really, they're gonna be doing great things this year. I'm super excited and very fortunate to have
Get
been
to meet
able
them,
to.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly it resonated with Kara too. I mean, she turned down a lot less money, it seems like, to really join a company that she believed in, and like I mentioned on social media, I hadn't heard of Weasel or
That's right.
Weasel.
Weasel.
I'm still getting schooled on it.
This is another. I'm wearing one of their tech shirts right now.
Yeah, I mean that's why it's so important to. I think she would have been just like one in the, of many kind of high-profile athletes versus like one kind of athlete/ambassador. And I think she could make a much more positive influence doing something like that with a company that she is involved with and she believes in. So I think that's really awesome.
There's a ton of heart behind that company, and that I love seeing people like Kara choose something like that over the dollar signs.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's refreshing.
Yeah, it's refreshing, and just getting to meet the 11 employees was really cool. It's still a small company, but they're growing, and it's really cool to kind of see that.
And to just see them open their doors to just a blogger.
And a man. What?
Sure, man.
Oh, come on. On that note, we're going to stick around a little bit for the post show. It'll be brief tonight just because it is late here, and I'm sure it's even later where you guys are, depending on where you are in the world. And I know that Billy needs to get his beauty rest as well. So stick around if you guys want to ask some more questions in the post show. Otherwise, you guys have been great. Thank you so much for tuning in to Ginger Runner Live, episode number 8. Billy, some last plugs. Where can people find you online?
At LA Runner, that's LARUNR on Twitter and Instagram, and YouTube. I have a video page. Like I said, I mentioned last week, I'll be shooting a couple of videos upcoming, so stay tuned for that, including Lake Sonoma, which is going to be a freaking barn burner. I'm excited about that, running with the elites. That's about it. LARunner.com.
I cannot wait for Billy's Lake Sonoma video. That race is so stacked. If you know anything about ultra running, you know that anyone is going to be there. And if you are not familiar with ultra running or that scene, it is the race to watch. And Billy is going to be there to film all of it. It's going to be awesome. Kim, where can people find you?
Facebook.com/milelonglegs. Twitter @milelong_legs. And Instagram, Kimberley DT. And of course, my blog, milelonglegs.com.
Do it, people. I am, of course, Ethan Newberry, the Ginger Runner. You can find me on all the social networks. At the Ginger Runner on Twitter, Facebook.com/thegingerrunner, gingerrunner.com. Instagram is @Ethan Newberry. And we're doing Ginger Runner Live every single Monday. Doesn't matter if we're traveling or if we're out of town or if we're sitting in the Cheesecake Factory. We're going to make it happen because it's important to me and it's important to the community. I absolutely love doing it. So we'll see you guys next Monday no matter what. I believe we'll have Vargo back. I know you guys love you some hot romantic mullet. Is it mullet or mohawk?
It's a
faux mullet.
It's a Euro mullet. I call it the Euro mullet.
The Euro mullet. Yeah. Euro trash mullet because it's disgusting. He'll be back next week with Just the Tip with Chris Vargo. Thank you guys so much for tuning in live. Stick around if you'd like to for the post show. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next week. And don't forget, tomorrow morning, new review is dropping. I need your help getting it out there for the world. This has been Ginger Runner Live, episode 8. Yay! Yay!
Oh, congrats.
Traveling Ginger Runner. Nice job, Billy. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for dropping by. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Dropping on, I guess. Dropping on. Dude, just looking through all the footage from Gorge, you guys out there are going to love it. You guys are going to flip. We even went back to the waterfalls today to shoot some stuff. I just wanted to get some better footage.
I just wanted to.
And Kim never saw it. Yeah, Kim never saw any of the waterfalls, so we kind of ran some of the trails. And holy crap, man! Just going back and sitting and looking at them, they're incredible.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to share the footage with the world, you guys. You're gonna love the videos. The behind-the-scenes video is gonna be kind of funny. I think it's gonna be a lot of weird antics. Yeah, a lot of Kim dancing, a lot of Billy not knowing what I'm doing, a lot of Dave not wanting to talk to camera and being very worried. It's going to be fun. It's going to be really fun. And a huge shout out to Rain Shadow Running. Those guys they put on a great race.
Yeah. So 3 videos, Ethan? Am I understanding that correct?
3 videos.
Okay. So we have the 100K video, we have the 50K video, and we have the kind of the weekend summation video.
Yeah, it's like a vlog behind the scenes. I think I'm just going to call it a behind the scenes because each one of them teases at the actual race videos for that particular day. So, and it's like an adventure vlog, right? Because the whole trip was really cool. Lots of really neat experiences. So, yeah, 3 videos.
Dude, can I?
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm done.
Okay, no. I just need to say, like, in terms of like all the places I've traveled to for races, like a destination race, like Portland is up there, man. I mean, the from the coffee, the food, the people. And the weather was a little, but man, we were just like, oh, do we really have to race? You want to just like hang out in Portland and just like eat and drink, eat and drink our way through because it was just like from the Bridgeport Brewery to the cafes. I think it was Extracto, the one we went to, and then just like the plethora of eateries in downtown Portland. It was great. I definitely want to
We
go back.
barely tapped the surface too. I know that you guys were
I
there
know.
for a
Yeah.
day.
You should see-
Go ahead.
Dave and I were just like super over caffeinated because we were like, coffee, yeah, let's get some coffee. Like we wanted to like have all the coffee, have all the food, and all the beer, of course. Yeah, it was a great city.
Yeah.
Today, I just kept saying, I wish we could just stay like another day, another 2 days. We love Portland.
Yeah.
I told you we may lose Dave to Portland. Like
He is
Like,
the
I
ultimate
love.
hipster, California hipster, beach boy, and he fit right in. It felt like he was in Mecca, just like, I'm home, everybody, welcome me home.
Like the Blind Melon video, No Rain, with a little bumblebee. He meets all the other bumblebees. That was Dave in Portland. I loved it.
Yeah. Landon B in the chat room asked Billy and Ethan about what percentage of your training runs are on roads. Any non-speed work road running? Billy, go ahead.
I mean, you should train for, or you should train on the surface that you're racing. So,
yeah.
I mean, if I'm running a road marathon or a half marathon, for sure, I'd try to get as much road training as possible. But, I mean, I'll still mix in trails because I just love the trails on the mountains here in SoCal. That's pretty non-negotiable. But I do, if I have a road race, I will try to get in those miles. And if I have a trail race or a mountain race, I'll still get in some road miles for like recovery runs along the beach here where I live, and maybe some tempo work. Yeah, but
yeah, I don't live on trails. I live close to trails. So on the days where I just am not in the mood to drive to trails, I'll definitely run roads. I probably do it once or twice a week, one of which will probably be some sort of speed workout, and another which will most likely be some sort of recovery workout. I agree. I totally agree with Billy. I think running on roads is an important part of the rotation process. Kim, you do now too, right?
I do both.
Yeah.
I do both. Right now I'm doing primarily road running just because I'm just getting set up with a new coach, and that's kind of where we're aiming for right now. But
And you have the road marathon.
And I have a few road marathons on the schedule, but I think starting next month I'm going to be rotating in a long run on a trail and a long run on the road each week. So
nice. Yeah, I think it's important. I think it's important to rotate. Though trails are like, once you start running trails, they're so inviting because you get these epic moments, whether it's a view or it's an accomplishment or it's a summit.
Or if it's a quiet time, just on the trails and away from cars.
Not dealing with stoplights. I mean, you just have these amazing moments.
If you want to walk and pee, like, you're walking.
You want to whip out your dick. So it's kind of hard to pull yourself away from that and then go run a road, but I think it's important.
Yeah.
Been running for 4 years and ran 4 half marathons. PR is 1:36. Nice. PR. It's great PR. I got inspired by you guys and would like to skip the road marathon to do a 50K trail instead. Is in 2015. Is it realistic? Am I ready? I would train between 2014 and 2015. Don't just stop training and think you're ready. I'm just kidding. Cheeky, real cheeky. I'm exhausted. Yes, totally. Over the course of a year, training for a 50K, yeah, totally. I mean, if you're at the half marathon phase now, where you're running a 1:36 half marathon, there's steps you'll need to take to train for that 50K distance, especially if you're choosing one that has a lot of elevation change or at elevation or in heat. So you want to look into what specific race you're training for, and like Billy said, train for that race, for the specifics.
Get the experience on the trails.
Yeah, that takes some just getting used to.
Yeah.
But a year, yeah. Did you guys hear the gunshots during the 100K, Gorge 100K? No. There were gunshots? Are they hunting a lot?
That's news to me, yeah.
Interesting.
Oh.
I didn't hear any. Billy, did you hear any?
No.
Billy and Ethan, to go with the trail road mix, how many miles do you generally put in a week? Miles overall or miles on a road? Miles overall, Billy, is you're upping your mileage right now.
Yeah.
The last couple of weeks you had some big mileage. Like last week you had some big mileage. You remember what it was?
I don't. I mean, I really try not to focus on that. I mean, my coach now is giving me more of a time on feet type of thing. So
Gotcha.
I think I'm going to focus more on that. Maybe, vertical, how much of that I log. Mileage, it varies. I mean, on a soft week, it could be anywhere from like 30 to 50. On a bigger week, for me anyway, it could be somewhere between 50, and I'll probably hit somewhere between like 80 and 90 in a couple of weeks just before Zane's, right?
Yeah.
But again, most of that will be slow, kind of going up and down mountains. Yeah.
Specific training for what you're training for, which is
Exactly.
50 milers.
Yeah.
So what Billy might be doing now, and if you follow him on Strava, what Billy might be doing now might not be the best for you guys if you're running a smaller trail marathon or just a road marathon or something like that, because he's going to be going through some serious training in the upcoming weeks. I'm peaking out now just in the 50s. I have 50 miles. The thing is, I don't have huge races until later in the summer, which is the Squamish 50-50. So that for me is like the big one that I'm training for. So my mileage is going to start creeping up in the coming months. Right now it's around 50 to 60 max. I think I've been in the 40s the last couple of weeks for the Big Sur Marathon next month. We've got the San Francisco Marathon, and then the Western States Training Weekend, which is coming up in June, which I'm probably going to get my ass handed to me. So overall, it just really depends on what races you're training for. How many marathons did you do before your first ultra? Chris Ham, I think I did 6 or 7 road marathons before I did the North Face 50k in 2012. I think that was about right. I think it's somewhere in there. I've since I'm at 10 road marathons and 7 ultras, I think something like that, and numerous smaller distances. Let's see. Can you explain what a typical week looks like when training for a 50 miler? What type of day-to-day mileage and workouts do y'all do? I think that's going to differ from person to person, and like we just said, race to race. Billy, just jump back in here. The question is, can you explain what a typical week looks like when training for a 50 miler? What type of day-to-day mileage and workouts do y'all do? And like I was just saying, I think it's going to depend on the race. Billy was just talking about training for Zane, maxing out somewhere in the 80, 90, is that what you said?
Probably. I'm guesstimating, but I think as long as you get the key workouts in, which is generally, for ultra specifically, and I probably wouldn't do this for a road marathon, but for ultra specifically, get in a back-to-back weekend long run. Mm-hmm. Maybe a hard workout of some sort, whether it's a hill tempo, speed intervals, or like a road tempo. Get in one hard workout, and then maybe like one kind of like mid-long run during the week, and then just a bunch of endurance-based runs in the middle to supplement that, and recovery runs, of course, and then strength training. Just get those key workouts in, and then the other days I would say just kind of go off the field. But that's going to be my focus, and that would be my advice for a 50 mile for sure.
Yeah, for all my 50 milers that I've done, I have peaked out, I think, in the 70s. I should have done more, looking back, because all of my 50 milers I've had big patches of some pretty tough spots. North Face, I think, was the best performance that I've had, but I think I went into that race a little undertrained, just relying on the fact that I knew I could mentally get through it. And when you start doing more ultras, you'll realize that you do have that power, that you can push your body beyond what you think you're completely capable of doing, or what you're trained to do. For my next 50 miler, for Squamish especially, I'm going to have some big weeks, and that's purely out of confidence. I want to build my confidence in that, because going into that 50 miler followed by that 50k, which are just monsters, I want to go in there super confident. And Jeff Allen actually asks, 19 miles, 4,300 vert yesterday, Squamish 50 in August. Am I doing it right? Ha ha ha. No, you're not. You need to double that distance and triple that elevation. No, that's completely inaccurate. That seems pretty good. 19 miles and 4,300 vert, and the race is in August. I think you're on the right track. Find as My best advice if you're doing Squamish, find the most technical trails you can find around where you live and run them on repeat. If you have a hill that is straight up and super technical, you need to run repeats on that. You just need to continue to grind out the most technical and steepest shit you can find, because that is what it is. And it's 50 miles of it. It took me 13 hours to finish the 50 miler. I will go faster this year, I hope. But if that's any indication, is how brutally it just destroyed me. It destroyed me, and I suffered the last 15 miles. Suffered. I crossed the finish line with a smile and a big fuck you for Gary Robbins for putting on that race.
Yeah.
That's
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
I think, go ahead.
No, I think it is important not to neglect. It's so easy to be consumed with mileage and time on feet, but I think it is important not to neglect the harder workouts, like I mentioned, the speed workouts. Maybe not when you're, kind of hitting the peak weeks. Be a little more careful about monitoring the tougher workouts, but I think it's important. I mean, it's to be a part of your training in some facet, because just for overall strength building, or to for your lactate threshold to build that up. But at the end of races, there have been times when you just fall into that zone and you want to kick it in, and you want to be able to have that kick. So don't neglect your speed workout, your tempos, your hill repeats, your hill tempos. Try to get those in every now and again, because 50 milers don't have to be all about just like plodding along at a ridiculously slow pace. And that's how we all get better as runners, right?
Yeah, and like when I'm running with you guys, Billy, it only makes me better, because it might be the same workout that I've done 10 times. I'm like, oh, I know this hill, I can run this hill. But when I'm running with you guys or people who challenge me, it's like, oh, I can run this hill a bit faster. And It's frustrating, but it's beneficial, Jor Friley says, from 0 kilometers in 2012, mountain marathon with 3,000 meters ups and 3,000 meters down in a few months. So I'm guessing they're referring to training from 0 to mountain marathon.
No. Wait. 0 kilometers. Okay. I thought they were talking about mountain. What is it? The race in Alaska.
Is it called the mountain marathon?
It's called like mountain marathon or something. I was just talking about this with someone, because Ricky.
I mean, it could be that race. Maybe it has 9,000 feet of up, if that's what it is. And 26.2 miles, 9,000.
No, it is not 9,000 feet of up, but it is 3,000 feet of like this. I mean, if you get it, I believe it's called Mountain Marathon Alaska. YouTube that. I mean, it is a gnarly.
Is that that video that we just watched where
Ricky Gates like dislocated his shoulder and he popped it back in mid-run? Yeah.
Oh, that looks awful. That looks miserable.
It looks so gnarly. I have to put it on my list as a race to experience one day. It just looks that gnarly.
Peter Davidson says Granite Mountain in Seattle is exactly that: 4 miles up, 4 down, and 4,000 elevation each way. That is a great grind. I wouldn't recommend doing that workout every single day. Maybe once a week or something, or like once every couple of weeks, where you can actually gauge your fitness and gauge your ability to do it. That's a good one. 4 miles up, 4 miles down, so it's 8 miles round trip with 8,000 miles of elevation. It's great. I have 2,900 feet in 4 miles. It fucking sucks. I'm not sure I want to do repeats. Well, that's Squamish. You don't have to do like 6 repeats, but something like that where you have 2,900 feet in 4 miles, you can do twice. Doing something like that twice, even if you do it once in the morning and then once at night, is just a great workout. Sounds brutal. Do you guys consider Cactus to Clouds Trail a technical and a good elevation to train on? Cactus to Clouds, I wouldn't call it technical, no, because you're not really running Cactus to Clouds. I'm sure there might be some human out there that does. But I wouldn't necessarily consider it technical, because you're hiking it mostly. It's 10,000 feet and 8 miles, right, Billy?
Yeah, I mean there are definitely technical portions. Like if you think about like the first mile and a half, and then there's like that what is it, like around mile 4 when it's just like you gain a massive amount of vert in that 1 mile right before the tram. If you're capable of running it, more power to you. It is a pretty stout trail, and there are definitely runnable parts. There were sections that we ran too, but it is a pretty gnarly trail. So just make sure you have a lot of water.
Yeah, that's just a dangerous route to train on because especially now when the heat starts coming out, it's just going to get really hot and people have died. And there's emergency beacons. There's 3 of them on that trail, and they're there for a reason.
Yeah.
I know a lot of idiots do that trail thinking they can make it to the top, and then they don't, and they have to hit the beacon. So I encourage you to be very safe if you're doing Cactus to Clouds.
But if I lived by there, I would totally, I probably would train on it because I love that trail.
Oh yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And Guillaume even jumps in there and says, yes, Cactus to Clouds is a good one. Guillaume is also a monster. Guillaume could probably do
Guillaume could run that thing.
Yeah, he could run it. He's one of those guys that could run it. It is a brutal hike run. And so if there's a race that you're doing that has those elements where you're going to altitude and you're dealing with a ton of elevation in a short amount of time, then that's the perfect training tool. It's really good. How would you guys, well, I'll probably take like one or 2 more questions just because I'm tie-tie and I'm sure Billy is tie-tie? That's how tired I am.
Baby.
I'm a baby. How would you guys rate this 100K compared to others? A lot of people were complaining about the 16-hour cutoff. 40% of starters DNF'd yesterday. I didn't realize it was 40%. Wow. Race director James mentioned he wanted to make this a Western States 100 qualifier.
It should be.
Yeah, absolutely should be. The 16-hour cutoff.
There were people who weren't. I know at least a couple of people I saw who didn't make the cutoff to the aid stations, like at certain points. I think that's for safety purpose more than anything.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. You have to adapt to it. And that 40% seems like a lot, but
it seems like a lot. But there were Kim was at aid stations and hearing a lot of people like volunteers talking about it. There was a lot of medical needed DNFs. People falling and hurting themselves. A lot of gashes. A lot of even if it's a small gash where you need stitches or something, a lot of people had to go get that taken care of. Some people managed to wrap up injuries and keep going, but who knows if they made it to the next aid station and DNF there or whatever. But that trail was really technical and really slippery, and there's a lot of elements to it that contributed to a bit of danger. So I imagine, I don't know the percentage, so I can't speak on that, but I imagine a lot of the DNFs were as a result of that. Cutoff, Cuyamaca, what was Cuyamaca? Was it 20 hours or was it 16-hour cutoff, Billy?
20? You know what? I don't think it was that long. I want to say it was around 16, maybe 17, maybe 18, 16 and 18.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So Western States asks that if you are going to qualify for Western States qualifying time, you need to do it in under 16 hours. And there's a very specific list of 100-kilometer races that you can do it. So under 16 hours in 100-kilometer for Western qualifying, I think that's good. I think that's a good time. I mean, it should be maybe even 15 or 14. I don't know. I've only run one, and I was really happy because it was under that 16-hour time limit. In this particular, I think this particular race would be an amazing Western States qualifier because it's technical. It's got tons of ups, tons of downs. It's not an elevation, and it's not in the heat, but the technical side of it makes it just a really hard race.
Yeah.
I think that's the website, the Gorge website, underplays that element a little bit. He said that he elevated an easy 50K to the moderate 50K. I would say this is moderate to, well, upper moderate as far as technical is concerned, because you're not dealing with altitude or heat, so that's definitely another element. But the technical side of it was pretty brutal. So I think the 16-hour cutoff is probably good. At this time of year, you're also dealing with darkness.
Yeah, it's a safety.
It's a safety thing.
And there's parts of that course where there's just drop-offs
Cliffs.
into waterfalls, essentially.
Yeah, Dave Daly, our 100K finisher, was talking about how he slipped in a waterfall and almost fell down the waterfall, which was a cliff waterfall. It's like, oh shit, I don't remember that part. But I guess you were also running it in pitch black. So yes, you have this element of death. So running the 100K, you're running 3 hours in the morning in pitch black, and if you extend that cutoff time to 16 hours, you're running at night because that's 8 p.m. That cutoff time is 8 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So
If you extend that even
further, you're running again in the dark, and that's being that exhausted, and the end of the race being on those cliffs, that would have been
the fatigue and the darkness.
Jeff Allen, thanks for the bitchin' show. Absolutely great work this past weekend, Ethan, Billy, Dave, Guillaume, and every other badass out there. Absolutely, man. Thank you, Jeff, for tuning in. Chris Ham, have you ever DNF'd a race? Not yet. I'm very thankful. My goal is to not. I know that they're great learning lessons, but my goal is to always just stick it out, tough it out. I don't care. I have gotten to the point where I don't care what my times are, really, as long as I can finish a race. I'd be really happy. Safely. Be really, really happy. Billy, have you ever DNF'd?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Epically. Well, the first time I met you, Ray Miller, I DNF'd.
Oh shit, that's right. And look, I'm even wearing my Ray Miller 50-50 shirt.
Yeah.
This was the day Billy and I met.
I actually met you at the aid station where I DNF'd, where I was sitting in the car with Katie, because she had also DNF'd, and I was like, wait a minute, I think that's that Ethan guy. So I got out and I walked over, and yeah, that's where we met. Over a year ago now, jeez.
That was over a year ago.
Should I lead you to the
Yeah, let's just let us have a moment here. Bonjour43MA says, lol, James Varner, our race director for Rain Shadow Running and Gorge 50k, says, James did create Orcas Island 50k. This would be easy for him. That's true. Orcas Island 50k is a 50-kilometer race with over 10,000 feet of elevation change.
Yep.
Monster race.
Gotta do
And
that.
that is also technical.
Yeah.
And that is a bucket list race, and I hope to do that in 2015. I would love to do that. All right. Billy, again, thank you, man. I know sticking around this late is tough, but I appreciate it very, very much, dude.
It's my pleasure, and dude, seriously, congrats on your PR. You freaking rocked it, and you not only rocked it, you look good rocking it, because I look like death when I cross that line. You look so fresh, dude.
I don't know, man. Your quads look sick, bro.
They were spasming, that's why.
So reminder to those of you who are still tuning in, go check out Billy on Twitter at LA Runner, and he's usually always posting really cool stuff, new links. You can go check out his website, and his YouTube channel is awesome YouTube channel. He did the Sean O'Brien 50-mile race video recently that is just mind-blowing, epically edited, beautifully done. And Kimberly, of course, the lovely, beautiful mile-long_legs. You can check her out at milelonglegs.com and on Twitter at milelong_legs. You guys are
Also
great.
epically edited and wonderfully done.
Also epically edited and wonderfully done. You guys are. I'm delirious.
Time to go.
Yeah,
have a beer and then go to bed.
Yeah, and thank you so much to The Confectional for letting us do our broadcast from here. It's the only place in Seattle with Wi-Fi, apparently. The Confectional, you can visit them at theconfectional.com. Follow them on Twitter at Confectional. Let me just pull it up real quick so you can see it. Just want to make sure that they
are the best.
Yeah, there we go. They have the best cheesecakes. And if you do email them or you want to order some cheesecakes, you can do like 6 or 12, little sample sizes, and they do like dip and dot, these really cool like little dip and dot things. If you do order on their website, tell them that Ethan Newberry, the Ginger Runner, sent you. Maybe they'll throw one in or a couple of extra free ones in there. Who knows? Because they are awesome, and they let me use their office space. And a big shout out to Destiny. Thank you, Destiny. We love you. That's it. Thank you, guys. We'll see you guys next time. Ginger Runner Live, out.